Hey guys, my name is Phinnegan Lynch, and I won a League Cup in Modesto, California yesterday using a Celesteela Genesect deck. Deck worked really well for me. I've been working on it for a while with my roommate Michael Perez and a little bit with Connor Peterson as well. He got top 4 at London Intercontinentals using a very similar list, like a couple cards off. So this is the list I used. Got 3 Genesect. It's definitely your main attacker. Use that in pretty much every single matchup, but we have a couple other options too, like the Celesteela and the Cobalion. Cobalion comes up pretty much every game. Revenge Blast is huge. I like setting up like one Genesect with some energy and then like one energy on a Cobalion so that they have to like knock out one or the other, but either way I'll make it so that I can one-shot something, because like Cobalion does like, what, 200 damage by the late game if they have like 5 prizes taken and you have a choice band. That's 210, I believe. Yeah, so Cobalion hits for a ton of damage, so I like it a lot for that because it's a 1 prizer that can dish out lots of damage for only 2 energy. And then Genesect does a ton of damage if you just have enough energy attached, and like you only really need to get off like 2 attacks with 2 different Genesects to get enough prizes, and then you can like clean up with a Cobalion from there usually. Sometimes you'll like fizzle out mid-game just because you have to discard energy when you attack, so it can be kind of rough like that, but that's why we have Celesteela, because Turbo Arm recovers the energy, keeps powering up the Genesects and the Celesteela and Cobalion and stuff. Celesteela is really strong too. 200 HP is like an insane amount. It also resists fighting, so in the Buzzwole Lycanroc matchup, it's super powerful. I played against Buzzwole Lycanroc in top 4 at the Cup, and once I realized that Celesteela is like insane in the matchup, I just tanked with that and took like 5 prizes with that alone, and I think I took the rest with Cobalion, or the last one with Cobalion. There's also a 3-2 Zoroark line just for consistency. Zoroark's really nice for discarding metals, because then you can use Turbo Arm to recover them, or just like thin whatever you need, so that like when you get end in the late game, you're fine. You don't have a lot of dead cards to draw onto, and you can just like trade to get what you need to win. It just makes the deck consistent when you have Zoroarks. I notice like once I get 2 Zoroarks in play, I almost never lose. And that's why I play 3 Zoras, just to get them into play consistently, but I probably, like if I could do it again, I'd probably cut down to 2 Lele, and I might cut the 3rd Zora. Lele is like really strong, but I don't know if you need 3 in this deck, just because like you have Zoroark anyway. I feel like in Zoroark decks you kind of only need 2 Lele in general, just because like that bench space you really don't want to use up on a Lele. You really want to have more Zoroarks in play. Only 2 Zoroark though, just because like more than that's kind of unnecessary, and you sort of run out of things to discard, so I feel like 2 is pretty much the perfect number. And then the supporter line's kind of weird compared to like what a lot of other decks are playing right now, because most people play Bridget. Genesect EX can't be grabbed with Bridget if you want to get 3 Pokemon, because you have to grab 1 EX or 3 Pokemon, so it doesn't like work too well with this deck. You'd have to Bridget for like Celesteela, Zora, and like a Celesteela if you want, but if you're in a matchup where you want to go for Genesect, it doesn't help you all that much to like use Bridget. You could go with Fan Club too. I just felt like it probably wasn't super worth it, so in an effort to like just keep Lele off the bench and like not use up turns on that, and instead just like go aggressive, I decided not to play any Bridget or Fan Club or anything like that, and just like go with Sycamore and N. I like to Sycamore turn 1 a lot with this deck and just go really aggressive with like Turbo Arm. It's not uncommon that I'll like get a turn 1 Rocket Fall or a turn 1 what's it called, something blaster, Rapid Blaster. You just need to hit 2 elixirs and 1 energy, and you've got 13 metals over here, so you can run into metals really easily. Yeah, and 4 Guzma is just like super consistent. I need like 5 a lot of the time. This deck can have trouble with mobility sometimes, just because like Celesteela has 3 retreat, Celesteela has 4 retreat, Genesect has 2, so like you definitely value the switching effect with Guzma. Then obviously you got 4 Ultra Ball, that's very standard, pretty much every deck has that. 4 Elixir makes a lot of sense too, because you have really heavy attack costs, like Celesteela's Blaster GX takes 4 energy, and I like to use Blaster GX a lot actually. You can do 210 with a choice band on that, so you can one-shot a Lycanroc, Gliscod, Zoroark, you can one-shot a lot of stuff, and you can also one-shot Buzzwole with a Fury Belt instead. And the nice thing about Blaster is it works as a town map, because you get to flip your prizes. It's before you take them too, so you get to flip your prizes and then decide which two you want from there. Blaster's like really strong. I'm a big fan of Celesteela in this deck. 4 Floatstone is also just kind of for mobility. Like I said a second ago, this deck has problems like switching sometimes, so it's really important to have 4 Floatstone. 3 Choice Band is kind of because Golisopod got bigger. This deck had 2 Choice Band for a while, but since Golisopod Zoroark became like a bigger deck, Choice Band is really important for that matchup because it's going to make it so Blaster GX does enough to one-shot, and so that Genesect can one-shot with 4 energy. If you discard 4 energy and you have a Choice Band, you one-shot Golisopod or Zoroark GX. So that's big. Fury Belt is just for like hitting specific numbers against things that aren't GXs or EXs. Also just for boosting HP, of course. I like it because like in the Greninja matchup, you can do 30 damage with Turbo Arm and then do 40 damage with the Fury Belt and then 2-shot a Frogadier. It also just like, I don't know, it helps for keeping things alive for multiple turns. It's really nice to like on a Genesect, if it has energy attached and you're against Gardevoir, for example, they can like Guzma up the Genesect and one-shot it, but since you have the Fury Belt, it's like a lot harder for them to do that, and they have to hit a blower. So it just like keeps Genesect alive longer. Same thing with Celesteela. And then 2 blower just because like Garbodor is sort of a thing. I think it's like pretty dead for the most part, but it's nice for that matchup because Garbodor is really hard to beat without any blowers or with only 1 blower. But you could go down to 1 blower if you just like are going to take the loss to Garbodor. And then I guess blower is just like a good card in general. I found it pretty useful yesterday at the Cup. I used it a pretty good amount. It wasn't crucial like to have 2, but it was nice. And then Super Rod's actually really powerful in this deck because you have the Zoroark line, so you can recover parts of the Zoroark line. And then you can also recover Lele's for the late game so that you make sure you can get like that late game Guzma or Sycamore if you need it, or you know, whatever else you need. It's really nice also to recover the metals because later in the game you'll have to elixir sometimes. A lot of times actually you'll have to elixir, and then you don't have like a guarantee unless you can super rod back the metals first. You can just run out of metals sometimes too because like Genesect discards energy when it attacks, of course. So like, you know, it's not unusual to discard 4 energy with Genesect like two times in a game, and that's like 8 energy total. So it's really nice to have some form of energy recover outside of Registeel because like you can't just keep using Registeel throughout the whole game. And then there's just 13 metal because like that's a consistent number. 12 would be probably fine, but I like 13 just because it's more consistent and like you're gonna hit the elixirs a lot of the time. When you have a little bit of a higher count, it's really bad to miss elixirs, I've noticed with this deck, so it's really good to like have a higher count of metal to make sure that almost never happens. But yeah, that's the event. Yeah, Genesect's got pretty good matchups across the board. Really, I don't think there's anything that's like hard to beat other than Turtonator. You can't be stupid with your resources. If you discard too many Floatstones or Guzmas, you're gonna lose. You can like easily Sycamore away too many things that you need and just lose because of that too. So like most of the skills just with resources and remembering that Celesteela has a resistance. It also isn't weak to fire, which is really nice. Celesteela is like MVP. But yeah, that was the tournament. I used Ultra Pros the whole time. Best sleeves out there. Shout out to PPG, shout out to Ultra Pro, shout out to my friends that helped me with the list and the concepts. Shout out to Michael Perez because he was the guy that suggested the deck to me initially. And that's about it.